taking a big sip of my gamer girl piss.
Oh, I'm gonna take this big sip of my normal piss. Just regular old mixed urine.
Mixed urine. What? Oh,
Could
boy.
be just everybody.
Oh,
not
I see.
Specialized.
I was gonna ask mixed with what?
Just mixed with the sea of humanity.
Ew. The Sea of Humanity is probably the most poetic description I've ever heard of a lake of piss. Hello everyone, and welcome to Video Games Are the Worst Thing on Earth. I'm Alton, with me as always is Reese.
Hello, thank you for visiting Video Games Are the Worst Thing on Earth, where we tell the truth about video games.
Indeed, and today we have a special guest with us. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, I'm John.
Hi, John.
Hello, John.
I know Reese from a long time ago.
Yeah, he's an old gamer buddy of mine from the salt mines of the days before like the 2007 salt mines.
If you look up a video called The Politics of XCOM, you'll find both Reese and I attempting to make political sense of the XCOM reboot.
That sounds very interesting, actually.
We'll link that in the description. That's the greatest thing I've ever done. I just want the internet to know. So it's time to unleash it.
I don't know. I think Video Games Are the Worst is probably the better podcast. But I'm biased against myself, so that works out too.
So the entire premise of this podcast is that we are the last bastion of true gamers, the ones standing between all the regular gamers and the ideology of fascism and being a reactionary and just being a giant dipshit. We're here to tell you the truth about video games, and that truth is that they are bad. They are in fact the worst thing on earth.
I am a giant dipshit, so I know. I know what isn't dipshittery.
Indeed.
And I will tell you.
Before you at us to say it takes one to know one, we know. We are one.
We are.
I'm a little bit more diplomatic about being a dipshit, but I'm definitely a dipshit.
How do you be diplomatic about being a dipshit?
I just kind of nicely tell fascists to their face that they're idiots.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I'd like to use the small bean voice when discussing their idiocy with their fascists. He's like, "Ooh, okay, woo, you are a moron." That's how that discussion goes.
Can you talk to Notch in the small bean voice for me?
Oh boy, I'd have to get something prepared. It's
okay.
Just like,
well, let's put a pin in that and bring it back for
right.
A special segment.
So, want to kick things off?
Are you traveling to LA, or?
We're going to do an on-the-site interview with Notch.
Oh, boy.
You heard it here first.
In the small bean voice. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very special interview with Notch, the creator of Minecraft.
That is the best Ian Mouse Chung impression I've heard, I have to say.
Oh, yeah. I care about gamers. Well, what was his fucking tagline? It's like, gaming, consumers, and nothing else.
I'm pro-consumer, pro-gamer.
Nothing else. Not even sentient.
Bless him, the patron saint of our podcast.
They should really change that saying that the meek shall inherit the earth to the fucking idiot shall inherit the earth.
The pro-gamer, pro-consumer.
The pro-gamers shall inherit the earth.
Fatality. Well on his way to
Well, if we want to keep the meek part in that sentence, we should say the casual gamer shall inherit the earth. And it's true, like, loot boxes have spread like a contagion from the mobile gaming
being
section.
done away with already.
Only because they stepped over a line. They'll be back. They're gone for now, but eventually they'll stick that into anything. They're like me after 5 beers. They'll stick it into anything.
Nice. Yeah.
I just
like
got
that
Shadow of War for over the past week, and they had a huge loot box controversy thing.
Yeah, that was a while ago. They actually removed it, but...
They removed it, but up until this weekend, they were still trying to sell me gold, because I can only get gold until this past weekend, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's still loot boxes, and you can still pay money for them. But
that game sucks.
Not anymore.
That game, they actually fucking ruined the balance of that game to put in loot boxes.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Bad. I'm enjoying my time with it so far, but yeah, the constant this past weekend was your last chance to buy gold.
Have you forced a lot of orcs to be your friend by touching their face sensually?
Yes. I do think it's interesting that in talking about human freedom and we use a ring to dominate their minds, and
they like it though.
Yeah,
they're big
yeah,
fans.
It's their thing. They like to follow. They really do, except when they betray you.
Yeah, which is all the time. Not a very good domination, all things considered.
But that's the influence of the family court on their minds.
So they have a little bit of free will.
Orcs have free will. If that's anything you've learned today from watching our podcast, is that orcs have free will too. And if no matter how sensually you touch their face and dominate them, they will always turn on you, just like the family court. But anyway, you guys ready to get into our first segment here? Jumping straight into the salt mines with a compilation by our own Reese at Very Good Bud.
Compiled from the content provider we lift from the most on this podcast.
Exactly.
Shitty Gamer Takes from Twitter, Shitty Takes. And you should check them out so you can see what we see.
They are definitely one of the best accounts on that hell site.
But it's Pride Month, as you may or may
otherwise
not know.
Known as Shitty Gamer Take Month, because holy shit, if you go on Shitty Gamer Takes and just look at like the fucking wall of idiotic gamer takes below some sort of rainbow colored image, it's insane. It's just like this whole month has been nothing but companies being like, we acknowledge that gay people exist, and gamers just losing their fucking minds about it. It's great. It's wonderful. As salt appreciators, we have just full round bellies from just eating all this salt. You give us strength, you idiot chuds.
I think it's kind of amazing too, because it's not even like they're doing anything in a lot of these posts they're responding to. It's just like, hey, here's our company next to a rainbow flag, and people are like, oh, I can't stand that you dare post the dreaded rainbow flag that saps my energy every time I look at it.
I know. It is the smallest of gestures that companies can make. It is the least they could do, and yeah, considering the kind of backlash they get for just saying, "Oh, well, it's a."
I would, if I ran one of these gaming companies' PR, that's what I'd just do every fucking day. I'd be like, "Okay, E3 announcement. We're coming to E3. Also, hashtag respect trans women." Every single post, to the point where they would have to get desensitized to it. Basically, that's my plan.
Well, that's what's so irritating about these comments, is that it's true that they're idiots who should be ignored, but they should also still be mocked, because we can't. It's tougher to criticize, like when Naughty Dog has like a very tokenizing, Happy Pride Month, when there are a million chuds screeching about it. Then you have to kind of side with the company, as deplorable as they are, because the chuds are being so reactionary, and you gotta beat that back first.
Yeah. Priorities. It's like, let me break this down for all our real gamer girl viewers. It's like when you have a high DPS mob who you've got to focus fire on before you can take out the boss. You know what I mean? You gotta get rid of all those ads before you can take on the boss.
It's true. We're going to take down the ads, and then someone else is going to take down the boss on a different podcast.
Yeah. Which I guess would be Bosses Are the Worst Thing on Earth, which would honestly be a fucking great podcast.
the Dilbert podcast that we're launching after this one.
That's a great comparison.
Oh no.
Okay.
Let's not dilly-dally anymore. Let's read some of these awful
I'm going to
things.
read All right, I'm going to read the first one here. So it's Naughty Dog saying Happy Pride Month. Today we're celebrating our team, their families, and our fans, and sharing our support for LGBTQ plus rights, representation, and inclusion. And a whole bunch of, a picture of like a paw sticker that looks like a centimeter across.
Yeah, paw. It's not a paw sticker. It's a paw pin that's rainbow colored, and then they have some paw cupcakes that are also rainbow colored, and then a picture of their office having a party.
It's the saddest Pride party I've ever seen, to be honest.
It's pretty fucking lame. Yeah, it looks very industrial. They're like in a fucking they have like exposed aluminum HVAC ducting. It's just like there's no decoration. They're just standing around eating cupcakes.
Negan here was deeply moved. And his response is, this shit is gonna be all over Last of Us 2, the same way feminism was all over Uncharted 4. I
agree. The next Last of Us game is gonna have spores that turn you gay.
I haven't played Uncharted 4 yet, and but in 1 and 2 have some pretty prominent female characters, so I don't even know what Negan's talking about.
Negan doesn't know what they're talking about. They're reactionary.
Yeah. That's kind of like the thesis statement of this show.
One thing I have to say about the most boring Pride party I've ever seen is, you know what? We made it. We're now so, like, mundane.
Yeah.
Speaking representationally, the B of the LGBT 2+ community, we've been corporatized and made it. We're mainstream now. This is good. We're mainstreaming. It's like
this is what happens. You turn into like a bland office worker eating cupcakes in a warehouse. You're
gonna get with a sticker with a free skin for Last of Us 2.
Right.
Ellie will be wearing a hoodie that has a rainbow flag jacket.
Coming out month means you get a free jacket.
Oh boy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Real quick, did you hear the story from Naughty Dog? Is that when they were player testing Uncharted 4, there was a moment where a female had some kind of big action beat, and the guy in the player testing thing shouted in front of a group of like 20 other people, "Oh no, they got Naughty Dog also." They being the SJWs, I assume.
The SJW Marxist cabal that we're all a member of.
Was he a contractor?
And stormed off. No, this was like, this was not...
It was game testing, right?
I might overspeak when I call it, like, game testing, like, as part of the QA department.
Yeah, it basically, they let regular gamers who have no professional interest in gaming to test it, and...
for the first and last time.
Exactly. Now, I would like to move on to our next one, which the name alone is a fucking doozy. This comes to us from Racist Goy Boy Spooks, which, Jesus Christ. I don't hate gay people, but there's no need for gay pride propaganda anymore. You're already accepted in society and the mainstream meteor. Just live your life like a normal person without making a big deal of it. And here comes the real doozy. They're trying to normalize pedophilia as another sexuality. It's just like, what the fuck?
That guy really buried the lead, I feel.
For real. He's like, after, hundreds of years of oppression, now that we've had it, for a decade. Okay, you don't get to celebrate anymore. Would you like to read the next one, John?
What am I getting into? Today, video protagonists... this is, from Razor Fist. Gotta get into that name later. But today, video protagonists are pan-gender, transracial, puddin'-pop sexuals with more hair colors than personality traits. The gameplay sucks, and the media loves it.
We do.
Anyone else old enough to remember when protagonists were dull, gameplay was good, and the media hated it?
What fucking drugs is this guy on? Like, the video games admittedly have always historically have had shitty characters with terrible stories, but I don't remember a time when the media hated that at all. And it's like, gaming's never been completely devoid of that either. It's just, you are an idiot that is like willfully misremembering gaming history.
Well, I just want to refer to this guy as Taserface from now on, just because I love that character in Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's where this name comes from. It does make him dull, like really, really dull. So I can understand he doesn't feel represented in gameplay these days. So he must have hated Japanese games, I have to say.
Probably. Those are basically what he's describing and have been around for decades. It's like more hair color than personality traits. I mean, yeah, that sounds like a JRPG to me. Runs and hides. Yeah. I'm not a fan of JRPGs. Don't at me.
I hate JRPGs.
I'm neutral on them. They just take too much time.
There's a fucking endless amount of these takes, by the way. We only cover like a small amount. There's fucking this one where it's just like hashtag the Drew Project. Nuka Gaming says, "Where's hashtag Straight Pride Month?" Oh yeah, I forgot. It's hateful to be straight.
I mean, the context that we have to realize here too is whenever we're talking about why isn't there a White Pride Month or a Straight Pride Month or whatever the reactionary response is that the reason that white people and straight people became so prevalent is through antagonizing people who are different than they were, and that's why it became the kind of like dominant upper crust type of culture. And so when you're not given extra consideration for that identity, it's because they're fighting back against that specific paradigm. And I'm sorry your fifis are hurt, but obviously it's not something that actually like impacts your life at all. You just want to get grouchy about it. I also like that this guy implies that protagonists in video games today are great. He's like, these protagonists are pangender, transracial, pudding popsicles, and that's interesting.
And it's also like not decidedly not true, as like there's probably a picture like of a wall of fucking video game protagonists that are just white dudes with the short brown hair.
Yeah, about 10 years ago that came out. I think like the Bioshock Infinite response was
pretty much
not showing up on the cover. Is that like everyone's a 30-year-old white dude with a beard? Everyone. And they did a wall of those video game protagonists, and yeah, sure.
It's so fucking stupid.
It hasn't changed much.
This is like the whole issue of reactionaryism and like fascism, essentially, is that you are imagining this fantastical situation that doesn't exist. Like fascism creates essentially an enemy which is both incredibly weak so that it can be defeated, but also so influential that its presence is everywhere, which is exactly what Razor Fist is doing by implying that like every single gaming protagonist has somehow fallen to cultural Marxism. And also creating a false history, which they're doing in the second part of their tweet, where they say that protagonists were all dull and the gameplay was good and the media hated it. Like that history never existed. That is complete bullshit.
The only thing the media has ever hated was a hysterical response to the violence. And like more recently, like the loot boxes, they kind of picked up on the gamer hate about it, just because it's gotten pretty egregious. So it's just like the media has never once cared about gaming protagonists. Not really.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out how this sort of reactionary knee-jerk response to Pride Month how it relates to the broader political realms of fascism, and that it directly just creates like an imaginary enemy and then an imaginary past.
I remember when people were crying for more female protagonists. They still are now, but the constant response was, well, I remember Faith in Mirror's Edge. And that was 3 years ago at the time, and now it's, I don't know how long ago.
It's just like, you got Samus.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to tackle this last tweet, and then I want to read the Kern tweet?
I would be down to... Are you talking about the Mark Kern tweet?
I am talking about the Mark Kern tweet.
Let me get into this, because I don't know about you guys, but I looked up Mark Kern and all the stuff he's been involved with, and the guy has, like, got a really almost spotless, emphasis on the almost spotless career history. And so I'll just read what he said, and then we'll get into Mark Kern, the person. Mark Kern says, an example of what some video game critics would love to see fail. Thank goodness for creative freedom. And he's quote tweeting Nier Automata, saying that more than 3 million physical and digital units worldwide shipped. Emotions are prohibited, but we would still like to say thank you to everyone who's played and enjoyed the game. So basically he's saying that the SJW cabal would not like to see Nier Automata succeed, which is just fucking idiotic. And he's also saying game critics hate Nier Automata, and then the next image is the Metascore is like 88%.
It was like GameSplitter's Game of the Year. Like, they don't usually agree on much.
Yeah.
And like you got your SJWs and your more mainstream critics, like, all loved this game and pushed this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me give you a little number comparison. Critic reviews. 97 critic reviews were positive. 3 were mixed. 0 were negative. So, yeah, the mainstream media clearly hates Nier Automata and wants it to fail because it's a good game, and all good games are hashtag our guy or something.
I mean, it's such a incredible misrepresentation of Nier Automata on every level. Because if there is a SJW game that's been popular, that's kind of Nier Automata. It's such broad, like, messages of empathy and, like, you know, trying to understand one another to be broad. And it's just like, to me, it's just like, this is somebody who, like, just did not play the game itself. The combat's, like, fine. It's not, like, amazing. What's interesting is the story and the way that envelops. So it's an extremely weird take from Mark Kern on Nier Automata, both misunderstanding the game itself.
Boy, but I want to talk about... Oh, sorry.
No, I'm glad you want to talk about Mark Kern, because Mark Kern is a S-tier, S-rank idiot.
Oh, he is.
But I just wanted to underscore the idiocy in the tweet as well.
He makes hot takes like this all the time. This is not the first time, sadly, I've seen him being quote tweeted as like having a picture taken of his bad takes. And so I'd like to recount to you a little personal history I've had with my interactions with his games. So Mark Kern is a pretty well-known game developer, and he's best known for being the team lead of the World of Warcraft game, and for being the founder of Red 5 Studios. Oh boy. So he's worked on some really great games like StarCraft, Diablo 2, which is like a personal favorite of mine, Warcraft 3, and World of Warcraft. But his most recent game is a little bit less illustrious. Firefall.
Firefall sucked so bad.
Firefall was a game with monumental amounts of hype behind it. Like, I personally actually did fall for it. Like, I heard that it was like this guy that had worked on all these fucking games that I had loved as, like, growing up. Like, Diablo 2 and StarCraft Brood War are probably 2 of my favorite games of all time. And when I heard that they were making, like, a third-person shooter, loot and shooter MMO, I was like, yes, this is going to be the best thing. It has jetpacks. It sounds amazing. I bought into, like, the bronze rank founder tier, which gives you like a permanent 5% bonus to XP gain. And boy, I wish I had saved that money. That's $30 I could have saved for my education or for food.
Whenever you would go to a con or any kind of like gaming space, Firefall always had the biggest booth. I remember going to PAX one year, And this was for many years. I've heard this happen. That Firefall had like just this ongoing, just constantly updated space that they would bring to every convention. And I was kind of sold on the hype at first. It got me to play it and download it, and I was like, I don't know about this, Lenny. This is bad. And so I moved on, but I didn't even know Mark Kern's involvement. And apparently there was some real shady business with the way he handled the company.
Oh, for sure. There's an entire I watched an entire documentary about the fall of Firefall by, I believe it's Death of a Game. Let's see, Death of a Game. And he basically goes through point by point what led to the complete dissolution of Firefall. And I think there's actually multiple videos going over how Mark Kern just completely, basically, that project was mismanaged from the get-go to just be completely fucking idiotic.
It was mismanaged into the ground. This is my recollection. It was mismanaged into the ground, and he managed to fundraise all these extra millions of dollars and just squander them on things like the big PAX booths and stuff
and
like that.
And the fucking custom-made Firefall bus. The fiasco that is the Firefall bus, which they spent, don't remember the exact number, but it was a lot. Basically, fair to say that Firefall was a really big old black mark on his record as a game developer.
I have to just put my own history with Firefall. I had to look it up when you guys mentioned it. I saw it, realized I played it.
Oh my god.
And realized I had forgotten all about it and thought it was interesting. So I went down a rabbit hole while talking, and I found out they're going to mobile. And then in that article, in the article about moving to mobile, which they did last year, there is the first or the most popular comment is that Mark Kern, who previously worked on Firefall, has another game in the works. It's quite well in funding. You should check it out.
Oh boy.
And I linked it in our discussion, and it's Ember.
Yeah,
Ember.
Stylized Ember.
M-A-D-R.
This thing is I'm looking at the website now, and this is great. Just totally no real information. Just 3 art stills. We're gonna be massive planetary war game, and we just need your $350 million.
570% funded because they have a playable mock-up, fully funding. Oh, it's not even built yet. It's.
I'm glad.
It's for the prototype. They're 570% funded for the prototype.
Great.
So, yeah. At least
good.
They're not spending it on esports cameras. I think. I don't know. But
yeah, it's only. Here's
Max.
the thing. It's only $100,000, which is a really small amount of funding, actually. For a big game, that's nothing. And the goal was only $20,000.
This looks like a game that comes with its own cryptocurrency.
How? Do you know when this was closed? I can't find that. I'm trying to think of how many people you could fund on 20,000.
I think it was over 12 months ago.
Yeah, so a year, $20,000 a year. That's a good job for 1, 2.
Yeah, 11 months ago.
3 people at least that are here.
Mark Kern keeps himself paid, and he's really, I think, a creature very similar to Notch, without
basically, yeah,
the billions. But honestly, I would say has more chops and respect as an industry person. Notch.
No one can match Notch. No one can match Notch's idiotic takes.
Notch was an outsider. This guy grew up in the industry.
Yeah, and I mean...
He has more than one famous game. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. Well, being part of Blizzard, they were great games, but they were...
Not made by one man.
Yeah, exactly. They were not made by one man, and it's just, it's difficult, for me anyways, to track down, how great having Steve Kern was on
Yeah.
any game development thing. The only positive thing I've ever heard about him is that he had a lot of energy while fundraising.
That's just cocaine.
To me, yeah.
You can just do that. Anyone can have lots of energy with enough cocaine.
Which is why we endorse it here on Video Games Are the Worst Thing on Earth, or our new podcast, Cocaine is the Best Thing on Earth.
All right. So I think we're ready to move on to our next topic. I think if you're okay, Reese, let's skip the racist mod and go straight to the Steam opens the floodgate, because we're already 40 minutes in. We don't have too much more time.
Oh,
That's true.
I wanted to do racist mods. I still wanted to do racist mods.
I want to do racist mod over Detroit Become Human.
Well, maybe we can remove Detroit Become Human and do racist mod, but I think we got to talk about Steam once and for all washing its hands of ever removing bad games from its terrible website.
Until the next time they claim they're going to do something.
Yeah, exactly. Until the next time they claim they're going to do something and then do nothing. So who would like to read this Kotaku article?
I will get it started.
All right, we'll take turns.
In recent times, Valve has struggled to draw a line in terms of what's allowed on Steam. Controversy has raged over the removal of games with explicit sexual content, as well as objectionable themes like the glorification of school shooters. In response to all of this, Valve has decided to open the floodgates even wider. In a blog post musing on the difficulty of deciding case-by-case basis what should and should not be allowed on Steam, Valve's Eric Johnson explained that the company does, in fact, have a team of humans that looks at every controversial title submitted to us.
That is a shock to me, that they have humans working on anything and not just a machine that's, like, that just tries to process it with an algorithm.
And employees frequently disagreeing like Steam users do. The harsh reality of the space that lies at the root of our dilemma is that there is absolutely no way we can navigate it without making them... there is absolutely no way we can navigate it without making some of our players really mad, Johnson wrote.
Alright, so this article, I think we forgot to say, is Valve says it will now allow everything on Steam unless it's illegal or straight-up trolling, quote-unquote. And so the next part is, and so Valve has come to a conclusion: allow everything, but give users tools to avoid the games they find the most egregious. We've decided that the right approach is to allow everything onto the Steam store, except for things that we decide are illegal or straight up trolling. Now, the thing I love about this is that Steam gets to decide what is illegal.
Well,
not countries, not governments, not kings or queens or some form of society. Steam has raised itself above these so-called arbiters of law and have decided that they are the law and will decide what games are or are not illegal.
No kings, no gods.
Only Steam.
Gabe. Only Gabe.
No gods, no masters, only Gabe.
So part of this, what is illegal and not though, is the sexually explicit games, and that has crossed into like LGBT themed games, quite a bit. And like the early controversy about that wasn't necessarily that there were sexually explicit games, but that they were taking away the gay ones.
Basically, yeah.
And as far as I know, a lot of them are still not there.
Basically, Steam has fucking bungled every single controversy it's ever been in, and it continues to do so, and I will continue reading their continued bungling. Johnson said, taking this approach allows us to focus less on trying to police what should be on Steam, because they are also the police, and more on building those tools to give people control over what kinds of content they see. So, again, instead of making a choice as a storefront curator to remove, I don't know, AIDS Simulator 2018, they've...
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah, that was a bad game. Don't buy it.
It's
not worth
like
the $60
for no reason.
Very few hours for your $60.
Exactly. It's not worth it, and they also don't buy any of their loot boxes, which gives you cosmetics for your virus.
Cosmetic AIDS virus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, they give you like a little clan hood to go on that sells. Anyway.
Well, because, it only kills a certain group of people.
Exactly.
After all.
Let's see. So basically, Steam once more has offloaded this responsibility of curating their storefront to their users, and they are just disgusting, pathetic cowards that will never admit that they have any skin in this storefront where they could get a 30% cut of everything they sell, including the Auschwitz management simulator. It's like...
Can I make a shitty gaming take?
You may.
Go ahead.
I like it.
You like?
I like allowing absolutely everything, as long as it's. They got to take away the language about obvious trolling and illegal, because there are countries will figure out what's illegal.
This will be great in that it will finally allow me to upload my Rule 34 Sonic fan game called Collecting All the Rings Winky Face.
Exactly.
I mean,
we get to see cool, highly experimental, random troll games.
I know. High concept things like Kill All the Gays, which is a real game, not like the joke games I made earlier.
Yeah, I mean, the problem isn't that, to me, that the storefronts are getting clogged up with anime or whatever. In some ways,
that's a problem. Let's be fair. That is a problem.
I don't actually have like a huge problem with it taking like a wider selection of games or whatever. It's that it's not dealing with the problems that it does have. And it's like, oh, well, acid flips, racist games, hugely problematic things that we've had in the past. We're just going to wash our hands of them, which needs to be the context that they're having, that they're just like, well, we're just going to give you better ways to block acid flip games. And I don't know, that is impossible to believe.
The alternative is the Apple Store, though.
Oh my god, this fucking article gets even worse. So, it's essentially, we were talking about how they basically are wiping their hands of any responsibility, but let me continue in this next paragraph. He said some of these tools already exist, but other new ones will allow users to override Steam's recommendation algorithms and hide, say, anime games, which strike me as the least of Steam's potential problems under this new policy, from your store page. In addition, Valve plans to improve anti-harassment tools for developers so as to prevent them from being mobbed for creating controversial games. This is great. I love defending the developers of
Hatred.
Yeah, Hatred and just Poop Simulator.
Mark Kern.
Mark Kern.
Say what you will about Hatred, at least there's it attempts to be a full game. It's games that are like that game that was like Feminazi, The Wokening or something like that. That's just like a bad MS Paint, SJW joke simulator. It's clearly just like something they slapped up to insult and then throw it on Steam and just have just say something offensive to a big audience. And sorry, when you have cultivated that kind of audience, you have some share of responsibility for trying to process it. And it's not like I think that Steam should, before any kind of game, any kind of word is published on Steam, there needs to be eyeballs that say this is okay. But I just please work with us. Have a conversation in a way that anybody somewhat normal would be happy to hear what you're saying, rather than this we get a lot of games on Steam. It's hard. Oh well. Well,
here's the thing. They had a conversation. They invited John Bain and Jim Sterling to Valve.
The representatives of gaming today.
Yeah. Well, one of them isn't. Rip in peace. Sorry.
There's just the two prominent YouTube critics that bash Steam daily. That's all.
Yeah,
I mean, until recently, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like
until recently, daily.
They were both very much advocates for cleaning up Steam. I would say Jim Sterling, made an active attempt to highlight good games and to criticize shitty asset flips that showed up on the store. And these are basically probably two of the best well-known critics you could get to come and talk to Valve about their fucking awful Steam Greenlight problem before they discontinued that program and made it worse somehow. But they talked to them. They explained everything to them. They laid out what they would want as the future of Steam to be in terms of content curation and ensuring that good games actually had a chance to be shown on the storefront and not be like crowded out by like just a sea of shitty, awful asset flips. And this is their response several months down the line, is to say, we give up. We can't, it's hard. It's hard to be a game seller. It's so difficult.
The reality is that Steam's true purpose, which is to just be a revenue stream for Valve, and what we want from Steam, which is a better marketplace, better representation of, its dominating force. And those two things are irreconcilable because Steam needs to be there to make money for people, and the kind of effort that they're talking about putting into it, it's just not something that there's any upside in their mind, other than the pointless pursuit of making the world a better place for gamers. There's no reason for them to do it, and it's like at this point, like I would be surprised to hear about Steam giving a shit, which is why I think. Sorry, John, but this is why I think I want to bring up my conspiracy theory again. Steampocalypse. In the next 5 years, all of our Steam games are going away. Valve's going to be like, it doesn't make money for us anymore. You can download your games up until April. That's it.
Oh, they'll not even say that. It'll just we'll get like 48 hours notice. People will be frantically downloading, paying extreme.
Steampocalypse. It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's inevitable.
It's coming, folks. I've seen the documents from Gabe Newell himself. He's been recruited by the SJW's cabal, and he's going to be removing all your Steam games, folks. I've seen the documents; they're real. You have approximately 20 months to move all your games to a different platform that's not Steam. God be with you in this time of trials, fellow gamers. Gamer Girl, Alex Jones, signing off.
Now, I'd like to promote my new visual novel, Bone Broth, the novel. I can't do the voice, but the idea of the Alex Jones visual novel.
Visual novel, super male vitality. It is a harem anime RPG where you collect different pills as represented by anime girls. That would be a great concept, actually.
Anime Pac-Man?
But no, basically, yeah, you're Pac-Man, and all these like super male vitality pills and like brain force pills have like these little cute anime girls representing them. Like how those games that have like warships and tanks represented by anime girls. It's like that, but for fucking pills. That's the Alex Jones visual novel.
I'm into this.
Folks, go to my GoFundMe and help raise money for this game to finally fulfill my dream of dating a pill.
$20,000.
$20,000, folks.
And I can build the game.
I can build the game. It's just going to be me and Paul Joseph Watson in our basements, nude, coded in gamer grub, just coding away, folks. It's going to be great.
Well, Prison Ball does the computer work. DM.
Well, Prison Ball does the computer work. I do the art and also the voices of all the women. That would be an amazing game. Unironically, amazing game.
I am going to move on from this bit.
Yeah, I believe we're done with this bit.
This Itch.io tweet that you have here, I think, is a good thing to wrap this up with.
Let's just wrap up this Steam being fucking idiotic part real quick.
That's what it is.
I've made all my points. It's classic Steam.
Well, it wasn't on Steam, but there was this game, like, weird feminist shooter early on in the Unity asset flip stuff, where you just walk around and catcallers catcall you and you shoot them and they turn into gravestones. That's why I feel like opening the floodgates, we can get crap SJW games too. So
that's true. You shoot. This is my new concept for a game. Before we move on, you play as an Antifa super soldier, and you shoot bricks of tofu at chuds and turn them into Antifa cat girls.
Not soy boys.
No, Antifa cat girls.
Antifa cat girls. Got it.
I unironically want a sweet ass anime Antifa game.
I kind of want that game now.
There is actually. I would like to take this moment to promote a very, very good game that is sort of similar. That's called Anarcute. It's a very funny game that's basically like Pikmin mixed with Antifa and like cute little chibi animals where you control like a group of rioters essentially, and you can pick up cop cars and throw them at cops to fucking explode them. It's incredible, and it's just like super cute music. It's amazing. It's a wonderful game. Everyone should go check out Anarcute.
It looks better than a Unity asset flip.
It's way better than Unity Asset Split. It's like, I don't know, I find it incredibly charming. I've only played it for like 20 minutes so far, but the 20 minutes I had with it, I was like, this is incredible. I need to do a Let's Play of this.
You're making me expand my already massive game library.
But yeah, Anarcute, go check it out. It's literally cute, like cutesy and Antifa. What were you saying, Reese?
Oh, I just wanted to point out that if there was an actual flood of SJW inappropriate type games, I have a hard time believing that they're going to be treated the same way. That it's the same thing about like on Twitter when they say that they delete all harassment, and then the people who say fuck you when a Nazi says that Jews should be gassed gets banned, but the Nazi saying Jews should get gassed, well, you got to tiptoe around Nazis for whatever reason. They deserve their freedom of speech. They didn't say anything uncouth by being a Nazi. And I just feel that that's going to be prevalent because it's going to be the chuds that are going to be reporting. They're going to be flooding the message system and being the monkey wrench in the gears, while normal human beings just look at stuff like the school shooter game and go like, oh, that's gross, get this off my screen. Anyway, back to my normal life. Well, I think we're wrapping up with the Steam stuff. We'll talk about the Notch tweet, and
Well, so we're back. Hello everyone. We had to stop the recording because something came up. I had an emergency down at the racism factory. It caught on fire.
Thousands dead.
Thousands. Yeah, thankfully none of our employees have health care. So, really we just have to go find and hire more orphans.
Well, the slums nearby lit on fire as well.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing.
Pretty much, unfortunately, we were adding a branch to the factory just called the Fire Factory, and it was very effective for about an hour. Very high production.
Well, I guess we'll just wrap it up there and continue on in the second episode. I would like to thank John very much for joining us and chatting about Mark Kern.
Yes.
You can find him on Twitter at JMARQUISO, J Marquis O. That's on Twitter, and he has a lot of game design tweets you should check out. You can find me on Twitter at Your Very Good Bud. I just retweet things Alton tells me to retweet. And where can we find you, Alton?
You can find me on Twitter at Alton 8. That's numeric 8s around my name because I'm actually a 14-year-old boy. And you can also find me on YouTube at Alton Plays, where you can find a bunch of my original videos and also the video forms of this podcast.
Everyone's already following you on Twitter. You had a big blow-up moment.
Yeah, I told the chud that he smelled like piss, and a million retweets later, I have 700 followers.
Congratulations. I'm super impressed. I got 20 followers from that, so I think you should continue to sass people.
I will. I can't help myself now. It's part of my identity. It's who I am. I'm the dunk man. I'm redecorating my room to look like an NBA showdown area, just like fucking hoops. And every time I tweet at someone, I'm just like, fucking dunked! And just break one of them by slamming a ball into it too hard.
That's a 21st century brand, and I applaud it.
Exactly. Very progressive. But anyway, we might have another part 2 coming out soon. The first part was pretty long, so it'll be a good-sized episode, even though it cut out early. We're going to make a second part with John, and we'll get to that out to you guys real soon.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.